If you've grown succulents indoors for very long, you've probably found that even in the brightest window of your home, your succulents start to stretch out a little bit, which is why I highly recommend using a grow light for your succulents. Now, this doesn't have to be anything complicated. You can get just a regular LED bulb in a desk lamp, and putting that on your succulents will help it dramatically. I have been growing succulents indoors under grow lights for several years, and I want to show you with my current grow light setup some things that I have noticed about using grow lights and how it differs from growing succulents in full sun, because there is a difference. Not all succulents like grow lights, at least not in the same way that they like growing outside. So I'm going to show you some of those common problems with grow lights and how you can help fix them. First up, I want to show you kind of my succulent rehab area. So these are some succulents that were struggling for one reason or another, and I brought them into my office under grow lights to see if I can help them revive a little bit. Now, I want to point out these ghost plants. So you can see these really long bare stems, and they are super tall. Ghost plants grow extremely quickly, and if they are not getting enough light, they will really begin to stretch out. And that is what happened with these. Even though they were under grow lights for about 10 to 12 hours a day, they were still stretching. So I brought them in here to the office because these grow lights are closer to the succulents than some of my other grow lights. And you can see they are now growing very nice and compact right up there at the top. So these are on for 12 hours a day, and the grow lights themselves are about 8 inches above these ghost plants. So that is what is helping keep them nice and compact. One succulent I'm finding that really does not like the grow lights are these string of dolphins. Someone said as they flatten out, they're called string of stingrays, which is very appropriate. You can see how they've really just flattened out and they've lost that pretty dolphin shape, except for, a few here on the ends. But the reason behind this is because when you are outside, if you are right next to, say this echeveria is right next to these string of dolphins, they're getting the same amount of light outside, right? Assuming that there's no shade or anything like that. But indoors, the distance from the light to the plant makes a huge difference. So even just the fact that these are a couple inches lower and the light is not shining directly on them, that is what causes them to stretch out. So you can see this is technically a full sun setup. This Echeveria Pearl von Nürnberg is getting plenty of sunlight, but that full sun setup is not working very well for the string of dolphins. On the other hand, all of these Echeverias down here are doing really well with it too. They're looking really nice with just that 12 hours under the grow lights. You can see here the distance between the succulents and the lights is about 12 inches from some of the smaller ones. Now, this Echeveria lilac mist in the middle is really close to these grow lights. I actually had it somewhere else before, and you can see it was kind of leaning and stretching, and now it has really gotten nice and compact, especially where it is so close to the grow lights. However, I do have to make sure that it's not starting to burn, because that can also happen, especially if it's underwatered under those grow lights. And lastly, we have some succulents under the grow lights in my walnut plant stand. So this is where we tend to have most of the colorful stuff. I have all my propagation here, and you can see how well these little babies are doing under the grow lights for propagating. Everything is staying nice and compact, so they're definitely getting plenty of light there. And then over here we have some Echeverias that are doing pretty well, and things are looking pretty nice. Now, I want to point out this Haworthia. It is under the grow lights, and it's under it for 12 hours a day. And with the distance from the plant itself to the grow lights, this is about 12 inches or so. That is too close and too long for a Haworthia. Haworthias like shady areas. They don't need as much direct light, and so that is why it is more of a dark color instead of a brighter green. Which is why down here on the bottom shelf, where we have more like 18 to 20 inches above most of these succulents, you can see that the Haworthias are a much more deep green color and less of the black. You can see a few more back there. That's also why I have that crassula right here in Groot. I have that under here because it doesn't need as much light to stay compact. And then I also just have some succulents that are taller and just don't fit on the other shelves. So you can use grow lights really for any succulents, and the amount of light they need is really going to vary depending on their height and the relative location of the lights to the succulents. So you can see here we've got some really, really nice orange going on in these sedums. We're getting, the purples staying in all of the echeverias. But then something that's interesting is these little bear paws normally have red tips on the edge. And you can see they are just barely starting to show some red. It has taken a lot of work to get even that little bit to show. These seem to need a lot more light to maintain that color right along the edge. Even though these are both technically full sun succulents, you can see that they are reacting differently to the grow lights. But the biggest thing to take away from this is grow lights will make a huge difference for helping you maintain that compact shape and those really beautiful colors with your succulents. You'll just find that some succulents will respond better to it than other succulents. So it may take a little bit of figuring out until you get everything adjusted just right. And so that's why I've commented that I've moved some of my succulents around. I'm actually starting to leave these lights on for about 14 hours a day instead of 12 hours to help bump up that light exposure to the succulents. So you can change the amount of time that they're on, you can change how close they are to the succulents, and then you can also just change the lights themselves. So these lights are crazy bright. It'd be hard to find 4-foot lights that are much brighter. But if you're using a regular desk lamp, you can try swapping out a bulb. You can put the lamp closer to your succulents and play around with how much time you're leaving the light on. And all of that will help you maintain better colors and better shapes in your succulents. Hopefully that helps you understand a little bit more about grow lights and things to look for when you're setting up your own grow light system. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, share it with all of your succulent loving friends, and I will see you next time.